Hey, yo, but ain't no what it squad. Like, it's your soul to easy. Connect Squad Entertainment in search of truth to promote longevity. And we here right now on the line with Hashandra, yours truly, you feel me? And I'm mad about domestic violence on Squad.
Take a little minute to breathe.
Hashandra here, and we are back through the eyes of the arts. Now, we know that in MAD, what we do is release, relax, and receive. And one way that we release is through music. I know that personally, one thing I do is throw on a beat when I'm feeling away, throw some freestyle over it, and I'm feeling better. But today, it's not about me. It's about Easy. Now, I know you may think it's hard, but he's been working hard to promote all positivity across the world. So I'm not going to say anymore. I'm going to allow him to come and introduce himself to you.
What's happening? It's your soldier easy. You know, like she said, like Hashandra said, I've been, working hard to do a lot of things, and I'm grinding, doing my best to promote everybody to be the best person that they can be and to handle every situation that they come in contact with the best way that they can, and so that we can move forward in a positive light, and the most productive way that we can. So.
Okay, so when you hear the word domestic violence, you know that artists see colors. What color do you see when you hear that word, and why?
Red, maybe. Red, because of rage. That's what I see. I also see nothing really, in the sense that domestic violence could be covert, if you understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Domestic violence is such a broad topic, or such a broad statement, that it could manifest itself in so many different ways.
In your opinion, how do you feel that through the art of music, or through arts period, that domestic violence can be released?
Domestic violence can be released in a matter of a broad manner of ways, through painting, music, exercise, having a conversation, just whatever you feel, dancing, whatever it is that you feel like your outlet is, then domestic violence can definitely, or that stress that may influence domestic violence can definitely be released through those outlets.
I know a lot of artists, they don't use their gifts and their talents to actually release their stress, release their anger. What advice would you give to those artists to actually use their gifts to get rid of some of that anger and frustration?
To tell you the truth, if an artist wasn't using their gift to get rid of that anger or frustration, I would feel like they're not using their gift correctly, and that's not for me to say. I can't dictate how one individual uses their gift or not. However, me personally, obviously, when art is an outlet to me, and it also depends on what type of domestic violence you're speaking about, because I feel like that can come in many forms: man, woman, child, it can come in many ways, and it all depends on how comfortable the individual is with expressing what it is that they're going through. It's so many different angles you can come at it. You can look at it from a point of, hey, should I be vulnerable enough to discuss this? Should I talk about this? How do I talk about this? It all depends. I personally, I would just feel like, whatever it is that you need to do to put yourself in a situation to be able to move forward, then that's what you should do. It's really not for me to dictate. I would say if there's something that you need to get off your chest, if you've been a victim of domestic violence and you're an artist, then if you feel like being vulnerable and transparent in your art, then by all means do so. However, I personally, for me, my art is a way for me to release. So that's how I would handle it. That's what I would do. However, for anybody else, the advice that I would give them is stay true to yourself, and whatever it is that you feel like you need to get out, however you feel like would be truest for you, I say go for it.
A good answer. Now, through music, we know that it's all about lyrics. It's all about the words. You know, people can bob to the beat, but what are you saying? I know that you express a lot of positivity. So if you just had to say 3 words to a domestic violence victim, what 3 words would you say? That's the only thing you have to say is 3 words. What would you say to them and why?
I would say purpose. I would say strength. And I would say power.
Okay.
Purpose, because everything that happens has a purpose to it, and it's for a reason. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in happenstances. Everything that I've gone through has in fact made me the individual that I am today. Like I was saying, when you speak about domestic violence, there are many types of domestic violence, especially when it comes to the Black community and the dynamic from parent to child, or the dynamic from man to woman, or there's so many different aspects of domestic violence. And I feel like because in our community, it's so normal for us. I was having a conversation with a waitress. I was in Chili's or Chili's, I believe it was, when I got the phone call about the interview. And I was having a conversation with my waitress, and she asked me, she was like, well, you know, what was that about? Or I might have divulged to her what the conversation was about. And she asked me, had I been a victim of domestic violence? And I laughed about it, and I was like, nah, and not that it's funny or anything, but it like the feeling that I had behind it was like, I've never been abused or anything like that. You know, that's preposterous. It's never happened to me. That's crazy. You know, however, as I went back to my seat and I sat down, and her question started to resonate in my mind, and I was like, dang, that was abuse. You know, that shouldn't have happened like that. It was just I was so desensitized to the situation that when I was faced with that question, have you ever been a victim of domestic violence? It's like, nah, of course not. And it was so normal, the things that I had gone through, that it was just like, nah, that's not domestic violence. However, everything that I've gone through gave me everything that I need today to be the person that I am today. So all of my trials and my tribulations crafted the tools to help me build my purpose. So strength, because everything that we go through, we need that. Everything that we've gone through gives us the strength. It can either make us or break us. And in most situations, I would suggest that you use it to strengthen you. I would suggest, a lot of people say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. However, it can severely damage you to the point where you're almost dead. So I wouldn't say what doesn't kill you make you stronger. It could. It all depends on which way you want to move that momentum. If you go through something and it's tearing you down, you can always find, you can always look at it from the perspective of, this is happening to me, to figure out what's the lesson in the situation, and then that can allow you to draw strength from that situation. So I said purpose, power, and I don't recall the third. Purpose, power, and purpose, power. Power was the third. So I guess power and strength, like, they all align into each other. It's power because everything that you go through, it can have the potential to break you. So you have to use that power to move past all of these situations. You have the perspective that you look at things in. You have to be able to maneuver it or mold it into a way that it gives you that power. It gives you that strength, So those would be those 3 words.
Those are some amazing points that you made. I love the point that you made about actually understanding, like, hey, I ain't have to go through that. I know that talking to a lot of men, they don't understand that women can be verbally abusive, physically abusive, but the thing that gets me, as you know, being a woman, is that we get away with so much, you know, especially when it comes to domestic violence. Women are not really looked at as the abusers. I know within my situation, I consider myself to be abused and the abuser. It's like when I was going through a situation, I allowed certain things and it turned me into a person that I didn't really want to be. So I make sure that I motivate women not to crawl into that I'm the victim, but take responsibility, because sometimes women can provoke a lot of things. And it's not an excuse, but it's the truth, and it's a mad truth that we also have to address. So I really, really, really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Before we go, also I wanted to say this. When it comes to me personally, I think my situation was more so like when I was younger, and being in my domestic environment, as a child, and I don't think that we look at all aspects of domestic violence. The young lady asked me the question that she did because I felt like, it made me feel victimized, or like I was victimizing myself, and I don't want to feel like that. But there's it's like I was saying, especially in our community, I think it's time that we look at domestic violence in every aspect, and just give people their room to live, and live in their truth on top of that.
Easy. Connect Squad Entertainment. I pray these iPhones will never stop ringing.